so much for being here tonight. It's wonderful to see you all. As you know, the Opportunity Coalition normally donates half the proceeds for each one of our speaker series to an education scholarship fund. Tonight, we are donating 100% of the proceeds to two essential organizations in our community. One being Toys for Tots, and the other being the Gateway Women's Battered Services and Shelter. So we're really excited that all of you could be here and know that your contributions are going to serve two really incredible organizations within our community that serve children and that serve women and families. My name is Sue Kenfield, and I sit on the Board of Advisors for the Opportunity Coalition. And I get the pleasure of introducing Brian tonight, but before I do that, Brian asked me to share a personal experience that I have with one of our organizations, that being Toys for Tots. When I was a child growing up here in Denver, our family ran into some interesting circumstances, and my mother was faced with raising 5 kids by herself. That was a little daunting because there's only 6.5 years between the 5 of us. She found herself having to reach out to the community and avail herself of services that were provided primarily through the church. And so we spent a brief time in a Catholic orphanage while she could get on her feet and get a place big enough for all 5 of her bratty kids. While we were there in this children's home, we got to experience Christmas. And that Christmas was kind of interesting for us all, as you can imagine. But one of the things that made it super special was we got to be recipients of toys from Toys for Tots. So this organization has always had a special place in my heart because of that. And this is passion. Throughout my adult years, I knew Toys for Tots, I supported them, and I helped with donations. And I never really made the connection in quite the same way as I had as we were putting this event together tonight. And I can tell you that while it may seem simple that you're really donating a toy for a child, what it really means for a kid, especially in a situation like that, and many of the situations that Toys for Tots serves, is they get to have a Christmas. And they get to have an acknowledgement for Christmas, because for kids, that's what Christmas is really all about. You know, it's the gift, but it's really being acknowledged. It's feeling like they have some value, given the crazy circumstances that so many of the kids who do receive gifts live in. And so, all these many years later, which I was about 7 then, it's been about 15 years ago, that memory of standing, there's a picture of me in my house with a little pixie haircut, thank you, Mom, and a really handsome service member standing next to me giving me a gift. And not only was it that sense of acknowledgement for Christmas, but it has stayed with me throughout my life. And recognizing the generosity of heart, the generosity of spirit, that compassion that comes from people like you who donate your funds to our event tonight, people like you who donate gifts, and support those organizations like Toys for Tots and like the Gateway Battered Women's Shelter. So, from my heart, thank you. Now I get the pleasure of introducing Brian Watson. Now many of you know Brian, and you may know him as the CEO and founder of North Star Commercial Partners. He's also the CEO and founder of the Opportunity Coalition, and I got to meet Brian through a mutual friend as I was talking with him about becoming a board member and serving on the Opportunity Coalition. And one of the things that struck me the most about Brian was his passion and his heart. Because whatever Brian does, Brian brings that passion in his heart. And we connected on that level, this desire to be in service. And what Brian does with all the organizations that he supports through his time, his talent, and his treasure, is show up with that heart and stand in that place of doing well by doing good and giving people the opportunity to have the lives that they want to have, to fulfill those dreams, the American dream, or whatever their dream might be, in his unique and wonderful ways. So I want to bring Brian up, and he's going to get the opportunity to introduce people who are here to speak for Toys for Tots, Gateway Battered Women's Services, and our guest speaker tonight. Thank you.
Welcome. It's so good to see a packed room here. Before we get started, one of the things that we're about here at the Opportunity Coalition is to promote free enterprise and business and opportunity for people. So we're going to start with something new that we've never done before. And for those of you that dropped a card on the way in, Sandra is going to come up. Sandra? And we're going to do something a little different. And that is, we're going to draw a card. And the lucky winner, if you're okay with it, I don't want to have no undue pressure here or anything like that, get up for 30 seconds, tell us your name, and tell us your company or your service. My hope through that process is that someone else in the room will say, I need that service. I could work with that company. And more business will be created and opportunity between people. So with that, you know what, I don't want to be in trouble for this. So how do you like that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And we have Richard Hartman. Now this is not a guy who's not going to have a problem standing up.
No,
I know this guy. You know. So Richard, why don't you come up for 1 second, or 30 seconds, I should say. And I even have a little bell here that if you have to that's just what we do. So, Richard Hartman, great.
Our company is named Arcturus, which is a Latin word meaning architects. We work with medium to very high net worth families around the country. Most of them own their own businesses. We work with them in transferring their wealth to multiple generations, free or minimalizing estate taxes. But what we really do, the unique part about our operation, for 16 years we've been doing everything that way in terms of how can people utilize their wealth to perpetuate their values. We worked with the Boston College Philanthropy Division, not that you give it to charity, but to understand how people that are in businesses that are very high net worth, how can they perpetuate their values through their estate plan? So we've been doing that for 15 years, but our company is actually 36 years old this year, out of Denver. And we work throughout the country in 26 states, but we work again with people, showing them how they can perpetuate what's important in their lives and passing them on multi-generationally. Thank you.
So it's good that everybody in this room is independently wealthy and has all their financial house in order, right? Sorry about that, Richard. I guess there's no clients.
So much for the opportunities.
I know, exactly. So I want to acknowledge a few people before we get started. First, our advisory board. We have John Brackney in the back corner there. We have Sue Kenfield, who we just spoke. We have Luke Wyckoff here in the front. Kyle Henderson. And did I miss anyone that I've been running around? Oh, there we go. We have our wonderful friend, Cole Geely. So thank you for being here. We also have two new advisory board members to help check you in. Christina Whalen in the back there, and Millie Kitchen. So thank you for that and helping there. Let's give them a round of applause. I also want to acknowledge Stephen Whitney and Ashley Juge and a host of other people that helped get everything set up so that you could have food and drink this evening. So, the building that you're in right now is a building that I acquired. And I acquired it because I'm an entrepreneur. And for those that don't know about the Innovation Pavilion, we have Carrie Ann LaFrue back here and Media on the side there. They're the ones that helped make it happen here at the Innovation Pavilion. And the Innovation Pavilion, over 80 companies have been created here over the last couple of years. The youngest entrepreneur is in middle school, the oldest is in their 80s, and everything in between. These are people that are risking everything to go chase a dream. And through that process, helping to create opportunity for others as well. So if you don't know about this great organization here, or business, you can come here and hang out in their coffee shop for free. Are we allowed to say free in front of Vic? Vic's not here. Okay. Talk to Carrie Ann about the free part. But you can hang out in their coffee shop and meet other entrepreneurs. And then when you get your business together, you can rent a cubicle or an office from them, and then you can grow within their space. We're also marketing the rest of the building as well, but that's a side note. We'll go there. So, people often ask me, why did you create the Opportunity Coalition? And see, we believe in a few basic principles. One is free enterprise. that true opportunity comes from capitalism and entrepreneurs going out to create that opportunity for others. The second thing that we wanted to achieve was to create bridges of communication and connection among people. We all have our different spheres of influence, but I believe if you get some good people in a room, great sparks occur. Things happen. People are employed, companies are started, new initiatives are put forth. And the third thing that we wanted to create was an environment where people could learn wisdom from others. Very successful people in different fields, whether it be politics, philanthropy, business, law, and say, you know what are they doing? And how does that apply to my life? How does it apply to my business? How can I use those principles and ideas to go create opportunity for myself and my family and my community? So those are the main things that the Opportunity Coalition is about. But it's also about serving the community. There's some people out there doing some pretty amazing things, loving on other people, coming alongside them. You know, oftentimes I think that people assume business people, all they care about is money. All they care about is making a profit. Well, they do, it's part of the business. You have to have a successful business. But most business people that I know care about people and care about their community. And they're investing in it in some pretty amazing ways. And so at the Opportunity Coalition, we always take half of every ticket cost and donate to different charities. Charities that are promoting free enterprise, entrepreneurship, etc. But tonight, we're donating 100% to 2 different charities, as Sue said. And so with that, I'd like to introduce representatives from each to come up. Sorry about that, Jake. That's all the notes. That's all. Everything is now. He's going to start at paragraph 37 and work his way back. So you guys will figure it out. I will pick that up for you. Just that there's so much going on up here. I just don't know what to do. So first, I'd like to start with. You're a little nervous, aren't you? Just talk about furniture. Yeah, you'll figure it out. I know. Okay. Bring in the tigers, whatever you need to do. Okay, so first, I want to start with Nancy Smith with the Gateway Battered Women's Shelter. Nancy, would you come up?
What a good introduction. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you what an honor it is for me to be here. I'm a representative for Gateway Battered Women's Services. And the joy that I get in being here and having you donate to them is just awesome. Just a little bit of history. I've given you a sheet of facts about Gateway Battered Women's Services and handed some of those out. Just to let you know that it has been in operation since 1979, 35 years that it has been around. And I will guarantee you, every single one of you here knows someone who is being or been battered. It's incredible. You think you don't know about it, you do. It's part of your life. And I thought the thing that came up with Ray Rice was really interesting because it brought it to the forefront for a lot of people. Football is interesting, and when it became part of our lives, he brought it to the forefront. Gateway Battered Women's Services is a private, nonprofit corporation, and so it depends on people like you. It has 2 emergency shelters, and they could use 4 emergency shelters. They're packed all the time. They often have to turn people away and find other resources for them. They have counseling services. They have a court advocacy program where somebody is always there with the person. So many times the batterer is there and will intimidate them enough not to press charges, all of those things. So having a court advocacy program is really important. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have somebody in terms of having a crisis hotline. They can always get a hold of somebody. They have a speakers bureau. I'm part of the speakers bureau. I had a business for 30 years, retired, and decided, what do you do next? And had been involved with them previously, but got involved with Gateway Battered Women's Services. And one of the best things I've ever done. They provide assistance to anyone and everybody, regardless of race, regardless of gender. 96% of the battered people are women. And so usually I say that, you know, you're helping women, and that's women's shelters. All sorts of things you can read why people stay. In the 2 minutes that I have to talk, I will tell you every 15 seconds a woman is battered and beaten. And so in these 2 minutes, 8 women have just been beaten. So it's a problem that is there. It's out. And the fact that you decided to divert some of your resources to help them, we are incredibly honored, and I thank you so much.
So there's also other ways you can serve the Battered Women's Shelter. Our company had the opportunity a few years ago to adopt a room, and we went in and got to paint it and hang curtains and get some furniture for it as well. And so think about giving of your time, talent, or treasure, because it is an issue in society, and sadly it's one of those issues that's often swept under carpets and rugs. And it's unacceptable. So think about how you can serve in that way. I'd next like to invite up Staff Sergeant David Fox with the Marines and the Toys for Tots program.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for having me out here. I was listening to some of these stories, and I could stand up here and I could give you an endless night of stories and things that you hear running Toys for Tots. I know that this has been probably one of my more favorite opportunities that I've had, and something that I've done while serving in the Marine Corps. It's wonderful. I have a passion for children myself, so it's wonderful. But you also get some of those tear-jerker stories out there. You really do. If you've ever heard of any of the stories where Marines, Toys for Tots, they get letters into the warehouse, and after doing this, I know this happens. You'll get letters from children trying to say what they want for Christmas. Some of them literally say, I want a home. They don't even have a home. They don't want toys, they don't want anything else, they want a home. Now I know, we can't obviously give children a home. They need a home. All the children need a home. But what we can do is give them toys, give them that little piece of hope, that little piece of happiness during this holiday season. That hope and that happiness carries many, many, many years, many years. Get a child in some of these really unfortunate situations, their confidence goes down. They lose all of that. They fall behind in school because of that. And then they spend many years for the rest of their life trying to catch up and trying to make up. So Toys for Tots, where we come in, yes, it may be toys that they're getting for Christmas, just toys. But what it actually does for them, what it provides for them, and how it makes them feel about themselves, carries a lifetime with them. So we've seen the communities pulling together here, especially this year, I think probably stronger than ever here in Denver. Thanks to Brian, people like Brian and North Star Commercial Partners. When I first started this off, we had a little bit of a late start. We were trying to find a warehouse, we didn't have one. We usually have the same one each year. This year we couldn't get into it. So I had the task of trying to find a warehouse for us to operate off. We can't accomplish this without one. So I'm running around all over the place, I'm trying to find a warehouse, going out in Denver, not knowing anybody. Nobody. Brian hears about this. Brian and his company North Star, they jumped at the opportunity to take care of us, to make this happen, and they jumped quickly. They made it happen, I think probably with week and a half, 2 weeks, we were in the warehouse. I go to Castle Rock and I see all these businesses in Castle Rock, they come together, they have these events, and they do something similar. They donate money, they donate toys, and it's wonderful, and it's all for the same cause. And everybody is giving out of their hearts for the kindness for children. And I just have a hard time seeing many other things that are that uniquely valuable that are still done these days. So again, thank you everybody out here. Okay, we can't accomplish this without you. Thank you very, very much.
So Doug Jackson, Nick Alt. By the way, if you don't know the owner of Duffy Roll, this guy right here. Who's got a Duffy Roll in here? Okay. Those who didn't raise your hand, you got a problem. You need to go have a Duffy Roll. He's the owner and founder of Duffy Roll. If you guys want, I don't know if there's any other chairs back here. Maybe we could grab some of those behind you and make sure that you get a seat. So thank you. There's some around here.
One here. One here.
So, Toys for Tots, right quick. These are Marines that are donating their time. And we were fortunate in allowing them to use the 60,000-foot building. And on this Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. and on Saturday from about 8 in the morning on, 9 News and Boston Market and Duffy Roll and so many others are contributing food and resources. You can come out, get a picture with the Marines, donate a toy, help sort some toys, and kind of ring in the Christmas season. They are trying to raise or secure 103,000 toys. Think about that for a second. 103,000 toys. That's amazing. What I love about these Marines, they're not only serving our country and putting their lives on the line, but they're also serving our community, and they don't need to be doing that. So really appreciate everything that you guys do. Toys for Tots, since its inception, has given away 469 million toys. That's a lot of toys. If you want to give additional resources, you can tonight. They're here, and we'll gladly receive it and appreciate it. So,
Where's the warehouse brand?
The warehouse is at 3840 South Wadsworth, which is basically Hampton and Wadsworth. It's a big building that we bought vacant, and in the meantime, letting these guys use it. They're doing a great job.
We've got a big banner on the side of it up there. Can't miss it, facing the road. Let's go see it.
You weren't supposed to tell me that about that banner, right? Okay, the whole thing's off. Forget the Toys for Tots. So, let's get started. Tonight, I want to talk about entrepreneurship. How many in this room are entrepreneurs in some way? A lot of you. I'm an entrepreneur. I started North Star Commercial Partners 15 years ago. Came home one day to my wife and I said, guess what? We're going to take a step backward or a giant leap forward, hopefully. I had saved up enough money that we could live for a year, and I said to my wife, don't worry, if it all fails, we'll keep a few $100 in the account. We'll go down to Mexico for a week, drink a lot of tequila, and then come back and try to find a job somewhere. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. That's what they discussed around the dinner table at night, so I had no choice. And it's not easy being an entrepreneur. I remember when I started out going, and we were talking about in the meeting just now, talking about things like accountants or how do you put together a team or how do you run a business? Because frankly, the laws of the land are really not set up all that well for entrepreneurs. In fact, as an entrepreneur, if you misstep between the federal government, state government, and everything in between, you can get yourself in a pretty tough pickle, to say the least. So it's not easy. But it is truly one of the great things about our society in America. Think about that for a second. The ability to start something, to build a team, to create opportunity, to achieve your dreams. You know, oftentimes we take that for granted in America. We assume, well, it's just there. A lot of other countries, that's not the case. Business and industry is owned by the government or squashed by the government. We're very, very fortunate. Living in a capitalist society gives us freedoms and opportunities that I would say is the most moral system the world has ever known. What is more moral? The ability to say that you produce for the state and the state can take from you whenever you want? Or for you to go out and take risk yourself to create opportunity that can benefit you and others? That is true human empowerment. I often tell people for a moment, take the United States of America off of the world stage. We never existed. And what type of world do you have? Now let me say, before we go there, We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I would say we have had a phenomenal impact on the world and the things we've created and the ideals we've put forth and the quality of life that we have helped to perpetuate for people all around. So I did a little research on this word entrepreneur. And it comes from a 13th century French verb, entreprenande. Now I just butchered that, and I'm sure there's someone who speaks French here, and you can, tweet about it or whatever you want, but I didn't take French, sorry about that. But here's what I thought was interesting. It's a verb. It's not a noun, it's a verb. And that verb means to do something, to undertake. Kind of interesting when you think about it. I then did a little research, and from the Library of Economics and Liberty, they gave this long definition of an entrepreneur, but let me just read the first sentence or so. An entrepreneur is someone who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business or enterprise. An entrepreneur is an agent of change. Entrepreneurship is the process of discovering new ways of combining resources. It then goes on to talk about how an entrepreneur makes profit, which I got lost about halfway into. I didn't know, I thought you just kind of make money, but I don't know. And so you think about entrepreneurship and what it means. And tonight, we have a great entrepreneur in our midst. Jake Jabs is the president and CEO of American Furniture Warehouse. He's the fourth of 9 children and was born and raised in rural Montana, one of my favorite places on the planet, state of Montana. And his parents were immigrants from Russia and Poland. He credits his family for providing him with a strong work ethic. Notice he didn't credit him for an easy life or for other things that maybe we would think are the big priorities, but a strong work ethic, an appreciation of work, a sense of family, and a love of music. He had a brief stint selling home electronics in the 1950s, and his first serious venture into the furniture business came in 1968. 3 years before I was born, but yeah. I'm feeling a little bit old. My daughter graduates from college this weekend, so I'm kind of getting through that myself. So. And he opened Mediterranean Galleries. American Furniture Warehouse was founded in 1975. And since then, headquarters are in Inglewood here, just down the street. It's one of the top retail furniture companies in the United States, with sales topping $392 million in 2013, and with nearly 2,000 employees. 2,000 people that get to work, 2,000 people that get to bring home a paycheck, pay their mortgages, send their kids to school, and to achieve their dreams. I don't know if he'll get into it or not, but this gentleman has a higher pay rate than most people in the industry because he believes in his people. In 2013, Jake gave $10 million to the University of Colorado at Denver. $10 million. And he did so to promote entrepreneurship. He's that impassioned about entrepreneurship. He realizes its true impact in society. And on the walls of the University of Colorado, Denver School of Business, are his 39 keys to business success. 39. Here are a couple of them. To succeed, you have to be willing to fail. To succeed, you have to be willing to fail. Think about that for a second. Are you truly willing to fail in order to create opportunity? Entrepreneurs don't do it for the money. And entrepreneurs have a passion for what you do, love your job. Most entrepreneurs that I know don't look at it as work. They look at it as fun and opportunity. It's pretty special. Jake has had a tremendous impact. And one of his quotes that I really liked is the secret to free enterprise, the free enterprise system, is finding a need and then fulfilling that need. I still use that formula today with my buying. Whatever the consumer needs, that's what we buy. How many of you in here have a piece of American furniture in your house? Maybe I should have asked it the other way, and then Jake could have taken him aside. With that, we are honored to have a great entrepreneur, a great businessman, and a great philanthropist here this evening, Jake Jackson.
Thank you so much. And by the way, we collect Toys for Tots at all of our stores. So you can come down to one of our stores, and we've been doing that for years, actually, and so you don't have to go clear to Lakewood or wherever, so you can put it on our store. We have to do that for you. And Ron, your numbers are a little old, actually, too. We're going to do over $500 billion this year. And we're going to have over about 2,400 employees. So, point I'm making, things are really good in America now. So we're doing really well. Business is booming for us. So I want to read this. Gets out. There we go. Get that out of my way so I can read my notes. I wrote a special speech for you guys. So I started out by counting the things that I've done entrepreneur. Probably started out as a young kid, learned to play music, play a guitar. Graduated from college, an entrepreneur thing. Took ROTC in college. So I went, this was during the Korean War, I went in the service as a second lieutenant in the Air Force instead of a buck private in the Air Force. I mean, a buck private in the Army, so that was another entrepreneur thing. Applied for a top secret clearance, got a top secret clearance, and ended up spending most of my military career overseas in French Morocco, delivering top secret mail to the whole continent of Africa, just because I filled out application for top secret clearance. So a lot of times those little extra things you do opens doors. And got traveling 24 countries. Great experience for a second lieutenant in the Air Force to be got flying pay to be traveling all over Africa delivering top secret mail. Taught guitar, another entrepreneur thing I did. That was in the 50s when everybody wanted to learn to play the guitar. And learned how to run sales and promote my store and so forth. So anyway, thanks for having me. Nice to be here. I'm not running for anything. So I can say anything I want. I didn't bring any animals. We don't own the animals, and you don't want to own them, by the way. They grow up too fast. 6 months are half grown, a year they're full grown. And we rent them, and why I didn't bring them tonight, Brian was too cheap to pay the rent on them. So anyway, I was asked to talk about my journey here, and I'm going to try to do that real quickly because I thought the first 2 hours I would speak about that, and the last 2 hours I would speak about my entrepreneurial. No, just kidding. Yeah. No, we'll be out here by at least 9 o'clock. No, it'll be about 30 minutes. So anyway, real quickly, growing up in this small town, Lodge Grass, Montana. Anybody been to Lodge Grass? You know what that is? To show you how small it is, I was born November 23rd, and I won the first Baby of the Year contest. It's a small town. I went back from a class reunion last summer, and I was the only one there. I figured out who sent me the invitation. But my parents escaped communism. When the First World War came along, that part of Poland my dad was in, they drafted in the Russian army. And they wouldn't let him out because he could speak German, Polish, and Russian. So he was in there 5 years right when Lenin and the communists took over Russia. And there's some great stories there, but to make them really short, basically communism just didn't work. And my dad was an eyewitness because he was in there 5 years. And he said about 20 million people starved to death. He was eyewitness to that. So growing up, he was a real believer. People from all over the world need to come to America. I've traveled in 50 countries. And a lot of them know you've traveled, but don't you run into that where people from all over the world, they want to come to America. Because America is a land of opportunity. And so I was taught that, and that really came from my parents growing up in Poland and Russia. On my mother's side, when Lenin died at age 54, Lenin gave everybody an acre of land. That kind of stopped the starvation. And Stalin took over, and he took the acre of land back, and again, 20 million people starved to death. On my mother's side of the family, all of her family starved to death under Stalin. Last I ever heard from them were bloated, were dying, don't send us any more care packages. So anyway, from that background, I think why I have appreciation for America and the free enterprise system. My entree into business was, we were a family of musicians. Dad was a musician, and he always saw we had instruments. So we were really poor growing up. We had no electricity, no running water. I remember us 5 boys, Dad moved up a bunkhouse to this house, and us 5 boys slept in there. We didn't have any heat in our bedroom. I remember being in those cold Montana winter mornings with no heat in the bedroom. But we didn't know we were poor. Nobody told us we were poor. We thought we were rich, you know. We had 1 change of clothes, and that's all we needed. So my music was my entree into business. I played music actually all the way through college, worked my way through college playing music. I actually made money going to college, playing music. I ended up teaching guitar in a music store downtown Bozeman. So I made money, and I went into the service. I was in the service. I played music all the time. I was in the military. Got out of the Air Force and played music for a while out of Nashville. I toured with Marty Robbins, the lead guitar player. Anybody remember Marty Robbins? Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, with the Mexican girl. Now, if I could sing like Marty, I'd still be playing music. But I couldn't sing like Marty, and I decided one day I didn't want to be a bum musician. I think part of the problem was I was too big to sleep in cars is part of the problem. So I decided to go back to Bozeman and teach guitar. Got some of my old guitar students back that I had when I was teaching, going to college. Started with a little guitar studio, and there was a music store for sale right downtown Bozeman, right in the middle of town. And they were struggling, really going out of business, and I bought half interest in this music store for $1,500. So now I'm a proud owner of half interest. I made a deal with my partner. I'd buy his half interest out for $3,000. And so a year later, I'm trying to borrow money because, you know, the trouble with business is they take money. You know, you got to buy more equipment, delivery vehicles, computers, and whatever. So I didn't have the money. So the first time I tried to borrow money. So I'm down at the bank and saying I need $3,000 to buy my partner out. He says, "Do you have a financial statement?" I said, "A what?" I graduated in Moag in college. I wasn't supposed to, they didn't teach us anything about business. That's one reason that I have a passion for colleges and teaching about business, is hopefully I have some business skills that I didn't have. So I'm sitting in front of the banker and we're making out a financial statement. He's asked me about my assets, my liabilities, my inventory, and my past due, and all accounts and all that stuff. And I could tell he wasn't going to lend me this $3,000. And I had to have the $3,000. And my partner didn't like, I really was building my music store. I doubled my volume every year I had the music store. It was going like this. And part of it was I taught guitar, country western. He didn't like guitar, didn't like country western. He was really hurting my business. I had to get rid of him. Elvis Presley was popular at that time. And the kids would come in and say, "You got any Elvis Presley records?" He says, "We don't sell Elvis Presley records here." And Elvis was the hottest thing in the business anyway. So I said, "By the way, I have 30 head of cattle on the ranch at home." So his eyes lit up, because that's what bankers want. They want assets. And so I said, "Yeah." So he took a mortgage on my 30 head of cattle at home. So I went home and checked, because I needed to find out if this was really true, because the story was, which was true, when we graduated from high school, our starting life was a heifer calf from us 5 boys in the family. And so this was 8 years later, and I said, cows have calves, so and I have 30 head of cattle. So he believed my story. So I went home, checked out, and found out when I left home at 16 years old, my heifer calf had left with me, and I didn't have the 30 head of cattle. But I had a business going. And it was very successful. I went back, anyway, he gave me the $3,000, and I went back to my partner and I said, "Here's your $3,000, now get out." And he said, "I decided I'm not going to sell because the business was going this way." And so I went over and I locked the door and took him to the back room, and I started punching him in the chest, and I said, "Now," I says, "we have a deal." It's called enforcing an agreement. So anyway, 5 years later, there was 5 music stores when I started. 5 years later, I was the only music store left. Why was that? Well, I think number one, I had a passion for the music business. I was teaching the guitar at night, had a band, playing music, different places, running the store in the daytime, and doing a better job. And new products started coming, and television came into Bozeman. We started selling television. And some entrepreneurial things I did when TV came in. At that time, cable came into Bozeman. The hookup with the cable system was $135, which was a lot of money in those days. And I said, man, that's not really very well. So I went to my supplier, Motorola, my TV supplier, and I says, can we give me a deal on some TVs where we can maybe give a free hookup to the TV, so to give a discount. So I went to the cable company. I said, if I buy 100 of those hookups, what would you sell me for? So they'll sell them to you for $100. So I bought 100 installations for $100. What's that? $10,000. I didn't have $10,000. I didn't have any money. But again, entrepreneurs take risks and do things. And man, so we ran an ad. If you hook up, if you buy TV from Montana Music, you get a free cable installation. And man, oh man, I mean, we had people lined up at the door. So again, that's what entrepreneurs do, is they figure out ways to make things happen. So anyway, at 5 years later, like I say, we were the biggest. I was doing over $1 million at the music store out of Bozeman, Montana. We're the biggest music store in Montana, maybe one of the biggest Northwest. I went to open a store in Billings, which was a bigger market, and I couldn't take my franchise with me. The trouble with the music business, you had to have franchise. I was a Fender guitar player. I know there's a couple of musicians in the crowd here. So I went to the Fender guy, and he said, you can't sell Fender guitars in Billings. Why? Because they had a dealer there, and they were protecting him. And that's the trouble with franchises, by the way. A lot of times, I could have always had a big store in Bozeman, but if I went to Billings, which is a bigger market, I couldn't take my franchise with me. So I lost interest in music business. So I thought, well, I could have a good store in Bozeman, but I couldn't expand my business. So I got so I didn't like to go to work, didn't have fun. And I think that's part of any business. You got to enjoy what you're doing, and if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to spend the time and effort. And that's where I was. I was getting so I didn't want to go to the store. It wasn't any fun anymore. So I sold it. I landed up with 3 stores actually, and sold them, and I retired. I was 30 years old. That's the first time I retired. So I was looking for opportunities. And one point I want to make here, one point I make with a lot of the young people that I talk to, is I didn't have any debt. Like I said, I was making money, getting cash, paid cash for things. First car I bought was going to college, bought a 1949 used Plymouth, paid $600 for it. Never made a car. I've never made a car payment. Look at the money I saved, never make a car payment. Right now I'm driving an 04 Yukon sitting right outside there. It's 10 years old. I could afford a new car. Yeah, I could. But, it runs fine. Look, I never made a house payment. First house I bought, traded equity in my Livingston, Montana music store for a house in Billings. Never made a house payment. Look at the money I saved by never making car payments or house payments. So, looking for opportunities, and like Brian mentioned, ran sales for a living. And that was an interesting time for me because I don't come from a business background. So what happened there was a Motorola distributor had a brother-in-law in Great Falls who had an appliance store, and he called me and said, Jake, you were a good promoter when you had your music store. Go and run a sale for him. So I ran a sale for him, was very successful. And what I brought to the table is, in those days you could buy a $2 transistor radio for $2. Just before your guys' time, but that was a big deal at that time. And I sold them for $2. And man, people lined up the door to buy them. So I brought traffic, I had good credit, could bring the traffic items in. And the phone started ringing, and it started offering me to run sales for them. So from that was 1960 to 1968, I ran sales for a living. And that was a fun time for me. And I landed up running sales really all over the western United States. That's how I got to Colorado. I was running a lot of sales here in Colorado, and moved my family here in Colorado, and they headquartered out of Colorado because the plane connections were a lot better. But what I learned in that 8 years I ran sales for a living, why did they want Jake Zabbs to run a sale for them? There was a lot of reasons. A lot of them, they were lazy, played too much golf, the stores were dirty, whatever. But there always seemed to be one thing to surface. If they didn't want to be the best operation in the marketplace, somebody else would come in and take them out. If you just think about any of you guys that are in business, if you have the best operation, I don't care if it's a hair salon or it's a dress shop, if you have the best operation, and people recommend, today you have to have people recommend you. Traditional means of advertising are tough today. I buy all the advertising for the company, and man, if anybody got an idea how to advertise a business, let me know. How many of you take the newspaper? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See what I mean? Newspaper reach is falling. TV is so fragmented anymore. Boy, it's tough to buy advertising. And what you have to have today, you have to have people recommending you. So keep that in mind. And the best example I can give is when I had my music store in Bozeman, there was a hardware store right across the street from me called Own House Hardware. And when I was back up there last summer, they're still in business. Most hardware stores, when Home Depot and Lowe's and Walmart come along with hardware stores, one of the first things that disappear. And they're bigger than ever. They're 2 stories now. This is 60 years later, and Own House Hardware in Bozeman is there and doing really well. And they survived the Home Depots and the Lowe's and so on. Why? Service, customer service. You want in a little screw, they were there, and they gave you a little screw, whatever. So today, so it can be done. It can be done. You can survive the big boxes. Okay, starting out with American Furniture Warehouse. In 1974, I was running a sale for, and I'm going to skip the Mediterranean thing. I'm going to go jump up to 1974. 1974. Meanwhile, I had a factory in Montana where I was manufacturing living room furniture. And I was selling, there was a furniture row at that time down there. Remember the old furniture row down there on Bannock Street? And all of those furniture stores went out of business, all of them. I was selling then Gurians, who built that big 2-story building there. And they went out of business. And the old American Furniture Company had went out of business. And I said, it looks like there's an opportunity for this farm kid from Montana to maybe come into a big market like Denver and give his hand at selling furniture. So I negotiated with the old American Furniture Company. I said they'd went out of business. And they had $1.5 million worth of assets on their books. And I negotiated and I gave them $80,000 cash for $1.5 million worth of assets. I figured I made $1 million that day. Now what the assets were, these were old delivery trucks, forklifts, warehouse racks, typewriters. Anybody remember? Adding machine. Anybody remember adding machines? So it was $1.5 million. So a lot of times there's opportunity, and I'm sure Brian and a lot of you guys in retail realize that during a recession, there was a big recession in 74, 75. There's opportunities out there, particularly in real estate. I'm sure you probably took advantage of some in this last recession. Or and somebody trying to get rid of assets, and that's what it really was here. They wanted to sell their assets, and so I bought $1.5 million worth of assets. And part of the assets they had, there was a lease on that building, a 20-year lease to go at $1 a square foot with no escalation clauses. So it turned out to be a good deal. So I opened that in 1975 as American Furniture Warehouse. I changed the name to American Furniture Warehouse. And one reason I kept the American part of it was that great big sign that was on the freeway. Remember that, standing up there? And I tried to hire back some of the old employees in a way. So I resurrected the old American Furniture Company. So from 1968 till 1975 till about 1980, I had the one store, and then some other stores seemed to want to go out of business. I bought a couple of competitors out, and 1984, 95, I had 1984, 85, I had 9 stores. Anybody remember the recession of 84, 85? You guys remember that? That was a tough one. In fact, I wrote a book. Actually, I wrote 2 books. My newest one is How to Survive Recessions, and I survived 7 recessions, and So if you're interested in surviving the recession, if I'm selling these for $10, the money goes to Easter Seals. And then my original book I wrote in 2000, when we were the National Home Furnishings Retailer of the Year, it's really a story about how to build a furniture store. So anyway, so those books are for sale. So after I'm done here, we'll have to come up and get those. But 84, 85 came along, and I had 9 stores. And we were struggling. The only 2 years I ever lost money was 84, 85. And I don't believe in bankruptcies. I think bankruptcies are a cop-out. What businesses need to do is if it's going this way, business going this way, what you need to do is you need to figure to get out here. If you wait down until you get down here, it's too late. So that's what I was doing. I was running sales. I learned this. If people hang on too long, they use up all their assets, and then they'll end up going bankrupt. And I don't believe it. You know, the United States is the only country in the world that you can declare bankruptcy? Yes. Yeah, nowhere else in the world can you declare bankruptcies. And I think bankruptcies are a bad law. We shouldn't have bankruptcies laws. You got to stand up and take ownership and be responsible for your own actions. Because what bankruptcies do, they hurt creditors. They hurt the people that send you supply, that supply the fabric and the wood and everything to make sofa. And the only people that get paid are the tax people, and maybe somebody's got a secured position. So anyway, I decided I'm not going to go bankrupt. So I got on TV and I said, things are tough right now in Colorado. I think every head was going, got that right, Jake. So I said, when times get tough, the tough get going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell half of my furniture store, close half of my furniture store, and sell my furniture at half price until I reduce my inventory to its proper level. And it worked. And what I found out there is if you sell furniture cheap, people buy furniture. So cheap. And it was unbelievable. We did a lot of business. I closed 5 stores. It worked so well, I closed 5 stores. Landed up with stores just here in Colorado. At that time, I had stores in Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. And landed up with 4 stores in Colorado. And really started over. 84 and 85 started over. And from then on, the rest of the story is kind of history. Took off. We finally outgrew that building. In 1994, I opened a Thornton store. Original footprint in Thornton was 370,000 square feet. And I thought, boy, that's going to last me forever. First year I opened Thornton, we had a $50 million increase that first year. And all of a sudden I'm adding 100,000 square feet on it, and I've added another 80,000. Thornton, which is our best store, by the way. We're doing around $7 million a month out of that store. It's our #1 store. So anyway, that store just got busy, got too busy. So that's when I opened our store here on Compart here in Englewood. And that's a 670,000 square foot facility. And that took the pressure off of Thornton. But Thornton kept getting busier and busier. And you get but a couple of furniture, it just takes room. You know, you got a lot of deliveries and a lot of incoming freight. And so owned the store in Firestone in the rest of the started here in 08, 07. I opened a store in Firestone. That's 550,000 square feet. But the point I'm getting to, I really open stores just as the market dictates. I didn't open stores just to be opening stores. And I think that's what a lot of people, mistakes a lot of people make. They open stores just to be opening stores. Just recently, I decided to open a store in Arizona. It maybe sounds a little stupid for a guy my age to be opening a store in Arizona. But I knew that market, and the reason I knew that market is I was selling a lot of dealers down there from my factory in Montana. And there wasn't a good furniture store in Arizona. There just wasn't any. What so many furniture stores do is they have what they call the up system, where they, when you come in, they assign a salesman to you. And the women always feel like they're being hounded, somebody's following them around, which they are. You know, stores here in town do that all the time. So it wasn't a pleasant shopping experience. A lot of times they're trying to sell warranties. See, warranties are 100% profit. And so a lot of times, most furniture stores have like a quota for salesmen. If you don't sell like 80% of your customers a warranty, they call you and write you up or fire you they have a quota for warranties, selling what we call snake oil fabric care. And so the customers always left the store feeling like maybe they got taken. And warranties, by the way, my daughter, my oldest daughter, who's in the business with me, by the way, just bought a new Jeep, and she paid cash for it. And they said, you gotta go see the sales manager. She says, why do you need a sales manager? So they drug her in there, and he wanted to sell her a $5,000 warranty, because she paid cash for the car. So he was badgering her to spend $5,000 on a warranty on this Jeep. Now, why would you need a $5,000 warranty on a new car? But that's where they make the money. There's not a lot of money in the car itself, so they make the money on selling the warranty. So what I did in Arizona, when I decided to open up down there, I made a list of why would we have a furniture store in Arizona. And here's the list I made. Number one, furniture sold the right way without the gimmicks. Lowest prices anywhere, anytime, you don't have to wait for a sale. We're America's largest furniture store, we buy in volume. We're going to have it in stock. No gimmicks like free financing, free delivery, free TVs, and that's what they all did down there. They always had some gimmick, free this, free interest, or whatever. No negotiating. We don't negotiate price, lowest prices for everybody. Monitored right first time, no nationwide for best value. No high pressure selling, no up system for sales. Any salesperson can help you. Yeah, they wear red shirts. And what it is, people just love us. So I opened the first store in Gilbert, Arizona in September 1st last year. And I always wanted to open a store with no advertising. Like I say, advertising is so frustrating. So I said, I'm going to open a store with no advertising. So I try it. Now this is a 600,000 square foot store. That's not a little store. And it worked. Just social media. We did social media. We energized all our people that built the building and the mayor and so forth, the officials of Gilbert and employees. And we did $3.2 million first month, no advertising. I thought I tried for a couple of weeks, but we did so much that we were so busy I couldn't advertise. So I had to hire more salesmen, more delivery drivers, so we did $3.2 million. So I decided to advertise 1st of October, we did $5 million. In November we did $7 million. The difference was with advertising, everybody in Arizona knew we were there. So it's extremely successful. That store will do about $80 million for the first year. And with success that, we opened in Glendale, opened the 1st of September of this year. And pretty much the same story. Pretty much the second store didn't hurt our first store. So anyway, we're setting new records. We set in the Labor Day, last Labor Day, we did $4 million Labor Day, which is an all-time new record. This Good Friday, Black Friday, which just happened, we did $5 million, which is a new record. Last month, November, we did $55 million for the month, which is an all-time record. So we're doing really well. So I think what it is you know, my age, still trying to be an entrepreneur, open a store, and go to a new market. Okay, some of the things, real quickly, what I've done at American Furniture Warehouse, I think that are entrepreneurial, is my delivery drivers, I pay them a commission. Probably almost every hand went up and they said, "Bought furniture," so you probably had furniture delivered. Aren't our delivery drivers good?
Yes.
Yeah, they're great. And what they do is I pay them a percentage of what they deliver, and they make between $65,000 and $70,000 a year delivering the furniture. But it's hard work. Thank you. Tell me how we had. If they don't do it right, we can take their commission away. So what there is an incentive. And one reason I've been successful is I have so many incentive programs throughout the company. If you pay people some what they do, directly what they do, the productivity will more than double. Do you follow me? Mm-hmm. You pay them directly for what they do, the productivity will more than double, because they're working for themselves. Like we build 10 to 12,000 chairs a week at our store. I pay all my guys X amount of money to build a chair, and they're making $70,000 a year building chairs. And when you go back there and try to talk to them, they won't talk to you because they're building chairs. They make their money building chairs. They don't make any money talking to you. They make money building chairs. A salesmen are on commission, My people at Deluxe Furniture are on a commission, and the concept is this: if you deluxe a perfect door, because we want to deliver perfect furniture. And if the furniture is perfect, there's no returns, no exchanges, you get a bonus, and that works too. And again, they make about $70,000 a year. Delivery all have iPads and iPhones now, and we electronically send messages back to customer service that if there's anything wrong in the house. They take a picture of it. Any damage to the house, the floor, anything, they take a picture and send it right to customer service. And we try to solve the problem right then. Because once you leave the house, the rules can change. So we embrace all kinds of technology. I have a service tech training school where we repair furniture. We don't send furniture back to factories. I had my own factory for 37 years, and factories don't want merchandise back. We give them no charge back, no debit memos, and they'll sell us for 15% less. Like we bought out the Weberg Road chains here about 15 years ago, you remember? And I went to those factories, and these are good American factories, and I said, no chargebacks, no debit memos, don't need your worthless salesman, I'll handle the stuff myself. And they sold us 15% cheaper. So if you're buying 15% cheaper, responsible for own actions. But we have our own service tech training school. We don't return merchandise to factories. Anyway, we have a system where we match product to benefits. We have 100% accuracy on inventory. We have 5 truck shops. Right now I have over 500 tractor, trucks, and trailers. You've probably seen those semis running around. What we do, when entrepreneurs, they figure out a way to Brad, you got me screwed up here on my picture.
Blame it on.
Well, you see it on trucks, right? They're painted up really nice, and we have signs on them. We'll ship almost anywhere in the U.S. We're really embracing e-commerce. We have the best website in the furniture business. And we're selling furniture all over the country. It's unbelievable. We're send 15 trucks a week to Wyoming, for example, right now. Do a huge business in Wyoming. Send a lot of trucks to Texas. North Dakota is a hot place. And all these semis running around have these signs on them, American Furniture Warehouse. We deliver anywhere in the U.S. What we're doing, we're hauling about 50, 60 trucks a week for Ball Industries. We're hauling about 56 trucks for Miller Coors. And we leave trailers parked there, and they load the trailers, and then we deliver to their distribution centers, and then we leave trailers parked at our factories, Ashley and so forth, and we load up and we bring them back. So we have over 100 of these semis now. They're on the road all the time, and they always run full. And we have 5 garages in-house where we take care of, fix the trucks ourselves. You can't believe how much money they save. We have 4 fueling stations. We buy diesel fuel. We're actually using about 40,000 gallons of diesel a week now, say 30 cents a gallon. We recycle styrofoam, cardboard, plastic. I believe in being green. We have our own video shop, make our own commercials. You probably know that. And I have a videographer that does nothing but training tapes. We have our own sign shop. We make all our signs for all our company and all our other stores. And this Artist of the West program, I'll just close with that. The Artist of the West program, have you guys seen that? Mm-hmm. What that was when this recession started in 08, there was a canvas company in Longmont that made canvases, and they were struggling. So we went to them and said, could you make canvas giclées for us? They said yes. And this thing has just been, we sell thousands and thousands of these every month. So that it's made in Longmont by Circle Graphics, and we have artists that bring us the pictures, and we pay the artists a commission. So the artists are Colorado artists, and they get a commission for every one we sell. Made in Colorado, sold in Colorado, and we're shipping these now all over the United States. We're getting huge orders from, I think, builders and stuff where they're buying about these at a time. Colorado, Arkansas. So these are things that entrepreneurs, I think, do. We just walked up here and said, how about making canvas giclées for us? They said, yeah. So we figured out a way to sell them and get artists in there, and it's hugely successful. So anyway, thank you very much.
So I'm going to ask Jake a couple of questions, and then we'll open it up to the group as well. So the first one that I have for you is, what do you believe is one of the greatest threats or issues facing our country or world today?
Well, if you're talking about business, they just keep adding more regulations. Business wants to, it seems like the government really wants to control everything. I just, in the paper the other day, I think a little wants $8.2 million for taking care of kids. I mean, I don't know, parents should take care of kids.
Concept.
Agreed.
But you see what I'm talking about? I think more and more the government wants to control our lives, infringe in business, and that's really back to almost communism or socialism, where the government wants to run everything. To me, that's the biggest threat we see. And it seems like, unfortunately, you and I actually vote against stuff like that, but obviously we lose some of these elections. So the greatest threat, I think, is the government just getting too much involved in not only business, but our personal lives too. Too much in our personal lives too.
Jake, what is one of the toughest business decisions you have ever had to make?
It was closing those 5 stores in 84, 85. That was a tough decision. It took me about 6 months to make that decision. But I don't believe in supporting losing business. So the business isn't making it, hey, bail out. And I made that decision, and it turned out it was absolutely the right decision. Because we turned the business around, paid our bills. The only time it ever was slowing paying my bills was those 2 years where we were really slow. So I've always believed in having a #1 credit, good credit opens doors. So the toughest was closing those 5 stores. It was a good decision, but it was a tough decision.
We've all had those tough decisions to make, that's for sure. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
I think the one reason that I'm giving to the universities, as you know, I give to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of charities, and there's nothing wrong with that too. But the nice thing about giving to CU, this is something that's going to go on and on. It's going to help generations, not just somebody going to help just this generation. So if we can help younger people become entrepreneurs, that's what the schools are about. And your definition of entrepreneur was great, by the way. You did a good job of saying that. So I think that's a thing that I can help the most, is helping younger people become entrepreneurs.
Okay. So let's open up for the group. Who has a question? Nicole?
One of his favorite quotes, Brian's favorite quotes, is you find a need and you fulfill it. Most companies at your level have a board, and you're the big kahuna. You make the decision, you run it all. And my question to you is, my personal beliefs is, every state needs an American Furniture Warehouse.
I agree.
Exactly. And so I just want to know kind of what your plan is to make that happen, because, in your book, you're probably sharing your philosophies. You shared with us beforehand that you built what you believe. You didn't take it from any book. You have a philosophy of how you make it work, and how you move and get out when you need to get out and get in when you need to get in. And what's your plan to take it international?
So Nicole's question
or
is that
national.
Jake is the big kahuna, or were you asking if he's the big kahuna? There's something about a big kahuna, I got lost there. She believes that every state needs an American Furniture Warehouse, and what is his thoughts and plans for that?
Well, I agree, and I think the Arizona thing proved that, where we went into this, it's 4.5 million people in the city of Greater Phoenix, and are extremely successful. I think every state could use an American Furniture Warehouse. Now, I'm a privately held company, and the one thing I've always done is live in my means. Like I say, I don't believe in bankruptcies and things that go right. I don't believe in overexpanding and getting too far in debt. I want to live within my means. You all know what that means? Who knows what living within your means is? I think young people, they have a problem with that, I think, kids, for example. Anyway, yeah, so to answer your question, I'm only going to live within my means. We have a couple of things on the radar screen, but I want to make sure that these stores are operating well, that I frankly had to borrow some money to build these buildings, but I'm going to pay that back first. Then we'll take a look at other markets.
Next question? Yes.
Have you recently been tempted to do anything outside of the furniture retail business?
The question is, have you ever been tempted to do anything outside of the furniture retail business?
I'm a musician, and I had a nice conversation with Luke. He's a musician, and we're talking about he should open a country western bar where they go and have a country western music. And being a musician all my life, and I've played in bars, had my own bands, and still do that, in fact. Like after the meeting, I'm going over to Perfect Landing tonight. So over here at Centennial and play with Boogie Bob, the piano player. So come and join us over there. He plays till 9:30. So that's always a little temptation, but to be successful in business, you have to avoid temptations like that, I think, because that would definitely take a lot of my time, and I think it wouldn't be the right decision. So that is the temptation. But that's the only temptation. Otherwise, outside of that, I don't really have any other temptation.
So now Boogie Bob is a little bit different than Luke's genre of music. I remember a Facebook post with you looking like Poison, which wasn't pretty, but it was good. I mean, I liked it, and you're Facebook friends with him. Next question, yes.
Jake, thank you for being here with us. Hope you don't mind a question from a piano player. I've seen you in your stores first thing in the morning when I've been shopping and late into the evening. You sort of, part of my question was answered, what do you do with your free time? But you started playing with Marty Robbins. Who do you like? Who are your favorite artists?
So the question is, who is his favorite artist?
Oh, yeah.
If you're a musician, musicians really don't have one favorite artist or one favorite song. You always get asked that, what's your favorite song? Well, I have a lot of favorite songs and a lot of favorite musicians. But I'm old country. I grew up playing old country, and I still like old country. So that's definitely the new country, I'm a little skeptical. I like the old country.
Next question, Mark.
I have a question. I know, other than your family, who inspired you? Who did you look to for inspiration?
So the question is, other than your family, who inspired you? Great question.
And actually, my family never really, because they were farmers. My dad only went to the 2nd grade. My mother only went to the 7th grade. So there was no guidance or, my dad only got a music business. What are you doing in the music business? So I think what inspired me is I just wanted to be successful. I wanted my music store to be successful. I wanted my guitar studio to be successful. I wanted Mediterranean galleries to be successful. I think my goal has always been, I just wanted to be successful. I didn't want to owe money to creditors or go broke or owe the banks or, or go bankrupt. My goal is that I wanted every business I had just to be successful. And the other thing was to be the best operation. So when people came up, had a great story from, Kurt, said he bought a sofa and a week or two later he noticed there was a big slit in it, and he didn't know if the kids did it or who did it, but he called the company and the guy got on a computer, and a few days later he had a brand new sofa exchanged. Yeah. So those are the things that kind of make you, taking care of customers and having a pleasant shopping experience. I think that's really what drove me.
So let's plan to take 2 more questions. I always see you over here, and you tell me to make sure I get that one. 2 more questions. Any? Yes, Nicole.
It's more of a comment. You next year have your 40th anniversary party. And I want to suggest that you have a big party, invite everybody, and play music.
Oh, I like that. 40th anniversary party. We'll look forward to that. Any last questions? Yes, Purnima.
Just a very silly question, and they say there are not honestly silly questions. Why the tiger? Because I see you as a tiger. Why the tiger?
So why the tiger? Okay.
It's not a silly question, though. The way the story on the tigers was, my wife and I have 3 daughters, and we bought our daughters a puppy for Christmas. And I think a puppy, how many of you have dogs for pets? See, almost every hand, everybody has dogs for pets. And so I think my daughter said, put the puppy on TV, and I did. And right away the phones start ringing, people start offering us their big, ugly black Labrador. At the same time, there was an outfit filming for Johnny Hawes Lincoln Mercury, and at that time the Cougar was a symbol for the Mercury car, if you guys can remember Mercury cars and the Cougar. And they were filming up at an outfit up at Evergreen, had a bunch of exotic animals. So he brings down the pictures of the exotic animals, and he said, Jake, you should use these exotic animals in your commercials. I was doing commercials at that time. And I said, I don't see exotic animals with furniture, I don't get it. So I said, I'm not going to do it. Well, my secretary was privy to this conversation. She always wanted to pet a baby tiger. In fact, I've kind of learned that women have maybe a little bit fetish about maybe petting a baby tiger with them. The true gals. Anyway, so she wanted to pet a baby tiger. So he brings her a baby tiger. I go to work the next morning, and here's all his employees gathered around. Just, everybody, I want to pet, I want to pet them. So I saw a lot of excitement with the exotic animal, opposed to domestic animals. So I said, okay, so we start using exotic animals, and it just became a trademark with us, People like the animals, and it became a trademark. Not using them right now. What happened with that advent in Roy, where that tiger almost killed Roy in Vegas, he quit Roy. The federales came in and said, you can't have animals, exotic animals with the public. And the way the guys that were getting the animals from made their monies is they charged $10 for the picture. Did you guys get your picture taken with our tigers? And a lot of people did, and they charged $10 for a picture, and they made their money out of it. Well, that went away with the government saying you can't have exotic animals in the public. So most of our sources for the animals dried up. So we're not using animals right now. And to be honest, it hasn't hurt our business at all. We haven't seen any effect on our business from not using animals. But it was fun while it lasted.
Just a comment.
Yes.
I just got my picture taken with the tiger, too. Thank God you didn't charge me $10. So, and tiger is the national animal of India.
That's right, yeah.
So those that don't know Purnima, she's head of the Chamber of Commerce for India and doing a lot of connection there. So I love that you asked a question about a tiger. Perfect. One last question. Anyone? Yes, Michelle.
You had mentioned that you have 3 daughters, but one is in the business with you. Is the other daughters in the business too? Are they entrepreneurial in something else?
The question is family, all the family involved in the business?
Off and on, they all have been, yes. My middle daughter's living in Billings. She's a decorator, but we're very close, and I think she has her eye on maybe coming back. Oldest daughter left and came back in the business, and she's really probably the one that's going to run the business. She's really smart and really has an interest in it. But my middle daughter also has a big interest, and she's in the furniture business. My middle daughter's been out of the business. I just helped her with a store that she was opened up, a decorating store, and it didn't work. So they're all still more or less in the wings, let's put it that way. But going forward, yeah, it'll be the family running the business.
Well, let's give Jake a round of applause. You all leave. With each of our speakers, I like to take a couple golden nuggets of wisdom from their talk and re-emphasize them. And Jake had many tonight, but let me just share a few. The first is the little extra things you do open doors. The little extra things. Have passion and do a better job. True passion. You have to have people recommending you. So oftentimes in business and different things, we think about it's us going out and doing the marketing. But if you do a great job, people will help you do it. And then he kind of said this one, and I'm going to add on to it because that's just what I want to do. And he never made a house payment, and he never had 30 head of cattle. That's what he said to me. That's what you said. Yeah. Good. So I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. For those that don't know, we we do record each one of these and we share those online. We encourage you to share the Opportunity Coalition with your friends. Like us on Facebook. We have a little sheet that we handed out tonight. If you have any speakers that you think would be good to come here, we'd be honored to talk to them. I also do a podcast twice a week. I interview people from around the world, interesting people. And you can go online to iTunes or to the Opportunity Coalition website, and in 30 minutes or less, you get to listen to some amazing people that have some great ideas. And these are ideas that could help transform, I think, your business and transform our community for the better. Our next speaker is Linda Childers. She's the president and CEO of the Daniels Foundation. For those that don't know Bill Daniels and the legacy that he left in this community in an extremely positive way, I really encourage you to attend that event. Linda had the opportunity to work with Bill before his passing many years ago, and she is helping to carry on his legacy of making a positive impact in the community. And that's on Thursday, January 15th. I really appreciate all of your time, and Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you.